huge city. There's a beautiful lake in the middle, but it's this hustling, bustling city. So I was able to experience firsthand working and studying in the hospital there, and it was amazing. You know, Western medicine, Eastern medicine, they were combined so smoothly, so perfectly. If someone had a severe infection, then you could get antibiotics or heavier drugs. If you could also, most of the people there are actually two different types of hospitals. There's TCM hospitals where they kind of blend traditional Chinese medicine hospital. Mm-hmm. So they blend Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine with Western medicine, and then there's specific just Western medicine. So people can choose in China if they want to just choose Western medicine or if they want to go to these TCM hospitals. And coming from here in the U.S. where, you know, we're still on the fringe, it's really a great thing to see because these are gigantic hospitals. And in Hangzhou, the size of San Francisco, there were about 5 of these traditional Chinese medical hospitals. You know, floors and floors of doctors and patients. And they had a massage ward, and they had an acupuncture ward, and they had a special branch I sat in on was the gynecology ward, where they used acupuncture and herbs to treat endometriosis, which is a very complicated thing to treat. So, with getting great results. And they actually go so far to blend East and West by taking herbal extracts and injecting them in certain acupuncture points. Yeah, which they actually, some people do that in New Mexico, I think. In the U.S., they're allowed to do that. So it's this great blend. And I was working in the massage branch there for a week, and the massage therapist they call it Tui Na, which just means pushing and pulling. But they treat all sorts of orthopedic injuries. And he's working on somebody's back, and he's feeling, oh, something's wrong here. And he says, you need to go get an MRI. And in the U.S., you're told to get an MRI, and a week, 2 weeks later, $5,000, you know, I don't know, it's expensive, right? And he comes back in 20 minutes with his MRI results that he paid $50 for, you know, so it was great to see just the combination. I worked on the oncology ward, and so that was a great example of the combination of East and West, because if somebody has cancer, they'll use surgery or chemo, whatever they need to use, but then they can blend it with acupuncture to relieve the side effects, the nausea, the low energy, and then they combine the herbs too. So these doctors are mostly writing herbal prescriptions and giving acupuncture for post-treatment, and sometimes concurrently too. Wow. So yeah, it was a really interesting experience. Yeah.
Now, could you explain, we're back to, I'm still stuck on the needles.
Yeah.
As a licensed acupuncturist, what I wanted to find out from you is, what do these needles do? I know you used a term, this was before we were on air, it had to do with meridians. Could you explain what that is?
Okay, yeah.
And you also brought a picture, so I'd love for you to
Right, that's a good
that.
point. So 500 BC, when I was telling you, in that classic of internal medicine, they spoke of the channels in the body, or the meridians in the body. And these meridians go from the fingertips to the chest, from the toes to the chest, and there's 12 primary ones that circulate vital energy, which is known as qi in Chinese medicine, qi. It's a very abstract term that can mean lots of different things. It also just means air. And some acupuncturists go so far as to consider it that it is just kind of oxygen, O2, vital energy, but it's also more than that. Qi is the movement of the body. It's the functional power of the body. Without qi, everything just falls and drops dead. So this qi and blood are circulated through the 12 channels, and each channel is related to a specific internal organ. So there's a spleen channel that goes from the big toe up the inner thigh and then ends in the spleen, and it nourishes the spleen. So, and there's a liver channel and a heart channel in the arm, and a pericardium, large intestine, goes on. All the different organs have a channel that runs. And along these channels, there are certain special points that are the acupuncture points, or acupoints. And they've done research to show that the points are areas where there's more concentration of nerves and finer blood vessels and lymphatic vessels. So, okay, there's two models. There's a traditional model and more of a scientific model. So in the Neijing, that book, the Internal Classic 500 BC, they would say that along the 12 channels, if there's a blockage, then you have, if there's a blockage along the channel, say there's a blockage along my spleen channel, then that vital energy or qi isn't going to nourish my spleen, and I will get an imbalance in my spleen, and eventually it will result in disease. So by utilizing a needle, you put the needle in the area where there's the blockage, and it opens up the blockage so the blood and the qi can flow through. So there's an old saying, and my teacher would always say, "Tong zi tong, bu tong zi tong." And it means if there's blockage, there's pain. If there's free flow or no blockage, there's no pain. So that kind of goes along with the orthopedic, or if you're treating a pain symptom, then you open up the blockage with the needle, and then the pain will go away or dissipate because everything's flowing properly. There's been lots of research with what the needle is actually doing in more physiological terms. And when you put a needle in, there's immediately an endorphin increase. So the feel-good chemicals of the body, you start feeling good, so that can help decrease the pain. It also releases some of your own corticosteroids from your adrenal glands, which is a natural anti-inflammatory. So it can bring down inflammation, make you feel good, and it can have an antihistamine effect. So it can, another anti-inflammatory. There's other things that I'm not remembering right off the bat, but...
Because I know that you teach this as well, this information.
I teach acupressure and herbology, yeah, at Sky Hill Institute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so when a needle goes in, see, I'm still back on the needles.
Yeah.
When the needles go in, how does the body know what to do? Is it all about the blockage? In other words, if something is hyperactive, can it calm it? If something is not active enough, can it stimulate it? Like how does it know what to do?
Right. That is a great question, and I'm not sure, but it can bring down hyperactivity and increase something that is hypoactive. So it works with the autonomic nervous system, which is the nervous system of the body that we don't think about our heart beating, but it does. And we don't think about our digestive system and all this squishing peristalsis in the intestines, but it does. So if there's hyperactivity, then that autonomic nervous system is too hyperactive, then the needles will calm it down, and that's a mystery. I'm not sure. I don't know if anyone knows yet. I can't wait till when they find that out. There's a lot of neat research going on with the fMRI, which is an MRI of the brain, but it is in real time. So you can see, say I don't have a needle in my body right now, and you can see my brain. Then I put a needle in a point, and then you can see the change in a specific area in the brain lighting up. So you can see how the needles will affect certain areas, like pain centers or endocrine function. So it does influence so much of the body. It's pretty amazing. And that's why I think the research is really complicated, because it does, people tried to say in the 70s, it just releases a lot of endorphins and that's how it kills pain. But then they find more and more out, and then it just becomes, oh wow, you put a needle in and it causes this whole chain of reactions that it's real complex.
Now you mentioned that you teach acupressure. How is that different from acupuncture?
Acupressure is based on the exact same theories. So all the channels, same thing, same points, everything is the same. But instead, you're just applying pressure to release the blockage. So in a way, it is exactly the same. But with acupuncture, I feel like it's almost, you get to stimulate a bunch of points all at the same time. You can only really stimulate 2 points with your hands, and with needles you can do a lot more. Nowadays you can combine, put some electrical current through the points too, called electroacupuncture. So you can, that's one difference. But acupressure is wonderful, and it has really powerful effects. Acupressure and Tui Na, which is actually more of a massage, but you're still utilizing